Yeah, hi.
Yeah, so hello everyone, and today with me straight from Germany, from nature, right, Sven? I've got
Correct.
Sven, and here I am, Laura, CEO World Record Studio. I'm still at home, but I'll definitely walk out after now seeing Sven being in
Okay.
nature. So we are so thrilled, Sven, to have you onboarded because I met you on LinkedIn, just as many others, and I loved the way we've been chatting. That you've been a guy who is like very much into the nature, into the walking, and it kind of it connected us together. So,
Yes.
without further ado, could you share with us, why you do what you do, who you are, what is the
hmm
company you stand for?
hmm I will do. Actually, I would say, first of all, I don't stay for one single company. The companies happen by chance where I work for, because my approach is that I always dreamt about somewhere after I lived in India about 40 years ago. I got very much connected to different things like just rough business and accounting things. I also got access to more sensitive things like human beings, little bit more. Something is there perhaps overall which I cannot describe. We might call it God, or we might call it overall, I don't know, energy, whatever. And I got very curious about it when I lived in India and got so different people around me who loved their life without having much, let's say, valuable, but they had a lot of love in their heart and a lot of greatness in the way how they were behaving also towards foreigners. Yeah. And this gave me something, some kick in myself, and perhaps there my development started to think about why can we not bring a little bit more of this part of the world into the commercial part of the world where I thought people are not yet so much in it, at least from my own personal interpretation. And from there, I think my mission is, or let's say my passion is, to get people, to inspire people in the work environment to be open for letting in other things like only physics and mathematics and balancing and accounting, because then I think life can be much more great. We can relate as people much more with respect, yeah, dignity, and perhaps build up a different level of world pattern where people have new ways to work together, and yeah, and it finally has to do with peaceful world for me. And this is why I'm in these things, and I think I cannot stop to talk about it, to think about it, and to connect with people who are like this. And I think it is something like which had to happen. The time is prepared, that you have started such a kind of progress now, and so not by chance. It had to happen. I think that I could connect to your idea, to this whole holistic idea, how you call it, and also get to know other people who are like this. Yeah,
Amazing, amazing.
yeah,
Thank you, Sven. And if we go now to
mhm,
the world record question,
yeah,
because what we aim with this world record, it is to create the space for everyone, as you say, to connect back to oneself, where we don't have this rushy,
mhm,
environment around us and hectic kind of moments, but
mhm,
like really. Uh, have the space to tune into your own kind of essence and answer this one epic question, which was created originally by Paul Polman and Andrew Winson in a net positive book. So the question is, how is the world better off because you and your company, or many companies, the ones you are, kind of nurturing
yeah.
it.
I, I,
Mhm.
I think it. Yeah, this answer for me is it has to do with the people I'm working it in the companies where I'm related to. Those people are really very, very humble people, great, great, and I call them, like in that one movie, beautiful mind, I have the
Oh
really
yeah.
big luck to work with a lot of beautiful minds in regard to scientific approach. Very great people, and they are so humble, down to earth. They don't look normally for their advantage. They just are somewhat led by their ideas of giving new possibilities of healthcare or of data communication into the world. And this is something where I'm really very much touched that I got this opportunity to be part. And I'm a commercial person, I'm a master of economics and accounting and all this stuff. Of course, I also have some coaching experience. I'm also a certified coach. I also studied because I was interested in myself. I studied also psychology a few semester. It's good to learn to laugh about yourself. It's a good start. Yeah. So and
Yeah.
I'm really so lucky to meet these people who who are very they are not selfish. They are really looking into the goal to develop a new cancer diagnostic in one company, or this company where I'm now the CEO is the biggest one, Innolume. These are physicists and electronical engineers even coming from a Nobel Prize group in St. Petersburg. There was a very famous physician, no, not a physician, a physical engineer who
Mhm.
won the Nobel Prize, Professor Alferov, in 2000. And you know, Russia in some areas is very, very well known for very great physics and engineering. And these people came 20 years ago to Germany, and they are really so humble and down to earth. You would not realize that these are people who really could have talked with Albert Einstein, perhaps, or Stephen Hawking on a very high scientific level. And even more in the days where we are now, after this Ukraine war started, I see these people, how they are struck and how they are touched, that they have some tension with their families in Siberia, and these people are all against this bloody war. And then
Mm.
to be together in that time with so beautiful minds, as I mentioned, that's a gift for me. And I ask always myself, I do not understand all these physicists things, not uh, other things, because it is so special science. I'm just the leader of these people, and they trust me. Okay, I'm a little older, um, which is perhaps the reason, but it's a gift for me that I can do that. Now I lost your
Mm.
face, Laura. Oh,
Oh, it will be coming. It will be coming.
okay.
Uh,
Yeah,
so going back to the question of
yeah.
how is the world better off because you and your company is in it, if you could put it in a nutshell, what would that be, Sven?
It is better off because they are great scientists, which have they live their dreams, and I like to get people to remember that everybody, when he was small, a kid, everybody had dreams, and a lot of people lost that and forgot about dreaming, and then taking the dreams in the heart and carrying it and implement these kind of things. So I'm very lucky that I am able to live with people who still have their scientific dreams. And for example, this big company in Dortmund, they produce, and that is something which you really can then say, this gives a in, big change in the world of data center energy consumption. Like, we are working on tools where just with one special tool, which we are now developing, the data center energy consumption will go down by 2 to 3% alone because of one special tool. And if you know that data, or the data center energy consumption in the world is about the amount of what entire UK is needing for the entire country, if you can save with one indication, with one plug where we have wafers in and our optical engines, it helps to reduce 2 to 3% the overall consumption of a data center. It is a kind of input into energy reduction, usage reduction. This is one way. Or the other company, which are in kind of diagnostics, they develop kind
Mhm.
of tools where the results are being verified. If a person has uh, is is supposed to have cancer, there are a lot of mistakes in diagnostics, nowadays, because the tools which we use and the technologies and processes, of course, are not 100% safe in results. You always have a potential risk factor in regard to mistakes. Um, so we can reduce the amount of wrong results with our tools, which also helps people to get quicker the correct result, and who gets quicker a medication which might help, and all these things. So I'm together with these beautiful minds, and they also have some input into yeah, advantages for people in different areas, as I just described. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I already see that the impact is just really, really wide and profound, and it will touch generations. I mean, absolutely. Wonderful, Sven. Thank you so much. Now it's so much more
Welcome.
clear, the how the world is better off because you and your company is in it. But let's move to this, linear kind of thinking, and then the nature, the energy, and the things, we chatted about, the walks. Um, if you would be able to rewrite the management books and like literally, change the way the business is being
Yeah.
operated today,
Mhm.
how could that look like in your mind, in your beautiful mind, Sven?
In my beautiful mind, I describe it like today most of the people who are in life, it doesn't has to do only with business. They're very much result oriented. Like I do something, I get something. It's like you have a to-do list. I do something, I get something like a result, or a yes, or somebody likes it. And then out of this, in the third step, a feeling is created that I feel well. So it has to do with doing, getting, and then feeling well. And I think we have to change the sequence here. We have to start with being well because we are who we are. We have to start to laugh us and say, okay, it's okay how I am without any doing, because I'm there, I'm around, and I'm a beautiful mind, let's say, and everybody is a beautiful mind. And if I start my doing out of who I am, out of my being, there will be different things which I do and different results which are much, much greater than if I have the first sequence which I just described. And this is my passion, which I like to bring into the people, to look in their own heart, to see what are the dreams and what they really love to do. And from there to go and see that life will be totally different if I trust myself that it could work. Yeah. And you have to feel it.
Wow.
That's the thing. One has to do it, to
Yeah,
feel
you
it.
have to feel it.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And
Absolutely.
and
And
a
and
lot of
let's
people.
uncover
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
Let's uncover that feeling, because
Yes.
I know from our talks,
Yes.
chats on LinkedIn,
Yes.
that you know the feeling, and you can you can like say the difference between the way that we are creating from our doing, or
Yes. Mm,
we are designing our actions, from doing,
mhm,
and then the difference when we are being and fully trusting
mm,
in the energy of being, in that innate intelligence, and there is like
mm,
something else folding out.
mm, mm.
What's how would you like how do you feel that difference yourself
Yeah. I'm
when you
I'm
are? Mhm.
I'm to if I do it, I'm much more calm, I'm much more balanced. And I get now when I share this and we share this very authentically what we are just thinking. I'm getting a lot of like energy in my body, like goosebumps, you know. It's like electricity comes through my body. And this is what I know. This electricity is the energy, how I describe it, when things don't run well. What happens? My life is not always perfect, rubbish. It has a lot of also bloody things which I don't want. But when I remember that and I come back to my inner balance, I can regenerate this kind of feeling, and it gives me again trust. I'm like grounded. You know, my feet are on the ground and I'm grounded. I'm connected with the earth, with whatever's there, and then from there I can restart myself, reboot, let's say, and then again go back into this part of energetic life, which really helps me to live a great life, which I love. Yeah. And does it describe a
Mm.
little bit? Yeah.
Yeah, you did. You did.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I can maybe give an alternative the way I feel um when like I am creating from my being.
Mm.
The level of energy and the level of yeah, thinking. I mean, I
Yeah.
literally feel like that there are no boundaries, no limits.
Yeah.
That's how I
Mm.
feel.
Correct.
And like country wise, money wise, idea wise, resources wise, it's like, you feel so expansive and so
Yeah.
abundant
Yes.
that you truly understand that everything is, you are just one thought away. And
Mm.
sometimes I even tell myself when I go to this small narrow doing, Laura, and the one who has some limitations, then I always
Mm.
remember and tell myself, Laura, you're just one thought away to go from here to there.
Mm.
And yeah, and having and being in nature, and as you did, like just before we started our interview, you mentioned that it's such a hectic day, so many things to do, but you are just taking your body out to nature
Yeah.
and just immerse in that and swim in that. It gives, yeah, it just, there are no words probably in the vocabulary to describe
Mm.
what,
Yes.
that we are in oneness with
Mm.
nature and life. So if we now think about CEO or the leader, right? We don't even have to be hooked to the title, the leader, the people, and knowing that we have this huge impact, which we feel oneness with, which we are plugged, like we are plugging our hearts and energy to that. What and I know that you had so many leadership roles in your life, but what would be the most significant ritual, Sven, that helped you to stay anchored to this impact? Meanwhile, there was maybe a low cash flows, maybe there was a pressure to grow at any cost. What was that ritual helping you as a person to stay anchored, but as well to keep your team kind of
Mm.
feeding that oneness with the impact?
My ritual normally is really, at least in the last, yeah, since I was a young boy, I would say, is I was always going out into the nature and just sitting there or walking or sometimes jogging, just to be outside and to be with myself. This is, I think, the most important for me. Yeah. And of course, when I was younger, can you still hear me, by the way? Because you
Absolutely.
have,
Yeah.
okay. When I was younger, of course, I was doing a lot of long distance run like marathon and triathlon, small ones. And then suddenly
Okay.
I learned, or I understood, or I got a different feeling. I thought perhaps I'm doing this because I want to be special. And then I inquired myself and said, I think I do this like energetic things, like extreme things, because in those days I needed perhaps acceptance from other people. And then I suddenly stopped it. I said, no, no, I do different. Now I
I
do
see.
small 5 kilometer only, and I only walk, Nordic walking. I take it very easy. Uh, and I came more to myself. But again, it was always nature. And in each time frame when I did what I did, it had some help for me. And later on, I learned something out of it, how I could perhaps connect with nature in a different way. Nowadays, I'm going sometimes just to the beach because I'm living close to the Baltic Sea and sit down in the sand and I'm just listening to the waves, to the wind. I'm just in the nature and be nothing else. Yeah. And it makes me very happy and content. And I can come down very much. And you might realize I have a Tourette syndrome, which is having some tics. But whenever I
Mm,
am in nature, I am, oh, it is so nice. I'm so much balanced, and I think that is the secret, nothing else. And I think we human, we forgot in the last, I don't know, few hundred years when industrialization was speeding up our lives that we have come from nature originally, and there must be something apparently perhaps which we are missing, our automatism, because we are not in nature, which makes us more aggressive and I don't know, less powerful. And this you can only realize if you try to do own kind of projects on yourself, yeah, like to make
Yeah.
research on yourself, what helps you and what supports me, let's say, and what not. And there it might be different for other people, but I believe strongly nature is one of the key points. Yeah.
I believe so as well. And if we
Yeah,
could think about, just imagine that everything is possible because it is.
it is. Yes.
It is, and one of the purposes of this world record it is as well to gather best practices these most ethical and impact driven leaders practicing in the daily life to stay anchored. And it is obviously kind of clear that when we are like, alone, we can tune into ourselves and it's easy. We take ourselves out. It's just our own individual decision. But let's imagine that we would want to bring all of this to business, to co-creation, to whatever we can call it, to ecosystems where we suddenly have not one person, but we have the community, the company, the team, and even the country, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, like where would you see? And let's just play with the thoughts. How could we merge then this linear and non-linear world, being with doing, into the collective creation, where we are kind of we all know that impact, and we have most likely trust in our own leadership, in our own
Mhm.
being. um, but how could that look like? I try like to come up with so many various ways of constructing the ecosystem where we have everything, but at the same, like both linear and
Mhm.
non-linear. When I say
Mhm.
everything, but at the same time, one of the reasons I decided to go for this world record, it is not to stick to my own bias and get the people on board as you guys, with whom we can imagine how that could look like. What would be your thoughts with Sven?
Okay, my thoughts are, one thing is, of course, people like you and me, not meaning that we are the guys which perhaps makes a difference, but we have to be always authentic, because I think if another person meets somebody who is very authentic, yeah, and speaking, let's say, from his heart, other people are touched by this, yeah.
Hmm.
And I always say I don't have to do anything if I want to change something. I have to be as I am. And if I'm in communication, I must have a very honest, authentic communication with people, and they will realize, at least in my experience, that there is something which they want to understand, because something is different in the quality of a very honest and authentic conversation. This is one way. Everybody of us has to be like this, and normally we are like this, because you will not change when you talk to people you meet. I'm always the same whether I work or not. It makes no difference. But if I want to implement it more with the structured way, let's say, yeah, what I'm doing, I started in one company to offer a coaching to the people. So it's a smaller company where I started from zero, and we founders, I have other scientists. We created first values. We spoke 2 days with a coach on values, what is important for each person, how he wants to live, what he wants to share, in order to get really touched from the inner of everybody. And I think based on these values, then we started to really structure the company. And each person who joins new as a new employee gets a kind of introduction of half a day to go through this process where we founders have gone, so that he has a chance to connect with that. And after a certain time, at least once a year, we have a workshop with all people where we question ourselves whether those values which we had created and sometimes get little changed just in wording, because other people come in, they have a different interpretation, whether how is this
Mm-hmm.
values can further live and improve to support like a fundament the entire team. And then I offered everybody in that company that they can have a personal coach if they want to get to
Oh,
learn
that's
about sharing things. And mainly people very high sophisticated scientists quite often they also want to have everything proven because of some chemistry or mathematics or physics, but they did not learn to look into the other things where we care very much. So at least
mm-hmm.
everybody has an opportunity to come into this kind of, yeah, thinking as well, into this part of holistic thinking, if I may say so. And this is what we offer. Some people take it, some do not. But this is one way to give over a period of time, also then to a
Mm-hmm.
team in the company, to inspire them and to support them to be able to decide themselves whether they see an advantage in that or not. And I think every person must have a choice. You cannot force anybody. Only if he sees it makes sense, then people will open and will change their own attitude. Yeah. So this is something what
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing. And then of course, again, to coming back what I said in the beginning, I never stop to talk about it. Whenever I meet people, I cannot stop it. That it's so important for me. Just what we are doing when I'm in the train or wherever. I'm by chance the chairman of the health health industry society in my state. So I'm talking to minister, to secretary of states, and whenever I'm there, one part is also on this. I try to connect because people trust me because of my profession. Then I can start also to talk on the other things, which they normally would think, what crazy stuff is that, or what strange thing. But you have to go into risk. Yeah, one if one wants to change
Absolutely.
something, one I have to be risky. That
Yeah.
people might say that is a
Yeah.
bloody guy. I don't talk to him anymore. But I don't care because people who really care, at least they accept if somebody often opens his heart. It's my experience. So this
It
is,
is. Thank you so much for sharing. I can relate very much that we
uh,
all, when we suddenly have this collective willingness to learn,
yeah,
unlearn, learn, and co-create and produce
mhm,
impact as this collective
yes,
um, living system.
yeah,
Definitely it starts from within, and it starts with the agreement with oneself. How
yes,
much am I willing to let go of I, and how much I'm willing
yeah,
to see we. Yeah, I love that you were
yeah,
giving the
yeah,
coaching possibilities for every employee. It's very
mm,
important. And my last question would be, if you could truly, truly think big, like
mm,
crazy big,
yeah.
not even
I
the
am
moon,
crazy.
the
I
Mars.
am. Yes.
I know you are. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. Like all people stepping in here, are, crazy. But like really, really big, and I will guide you how big. And let's say you would reborn, maybe not as a Sven anymore, maybe as Thomas 100 years later, and like into the future, and you would
Yeah.
see the world differently.
Hmm?
Yeah, how different would you want
I
to
can tell
see
you
the world? Yes,
what will happen. I
please.
know it exactly because I'm thinking like this. And this is, I'm coming from the future into the present. Actually, I'm from the future. And,
You're a
but I have
projector.
to, I have to stretch only. I have to be here and I come from the future and I have to connect both worlds. And my dream is like there will be a world, there's no money anymore. There will be a
Mm.
world where everybody shares his his capabilities, what he has in doing what he can do, like carpenter or what I'm doing in the office. Everybody does what he really feels it is his own mission, his own passion, and he gets from a somewhat wild system exactly what he needs in materialized things, what he needs to be in this balance. And there will be something like an overall governance or system which manage this, that people are giving from their heart what they can do, and that there is a balance always on what is needed and what is given. It's just a magic, you know. And this is my
Wow.
dream how the world will be. And this really I'm having in my heart since I lived in India 35 years ago.
Oh,
But it got
oh,
clearer and clearer. But if I'm
hmm.
reasonable, I think it will not take 100 years. It takes 1,000 years perhaps, but I don't care. If we don't start, it will not happen. And
Yeah.
this is my world. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. But I feel that, and not only that I feel, I see actually that that is happening more and more. We are walking to, to sharing, and we are moving from this individual kind of success,
Yeah.
a definition to more that, okay, I can go and ask my neighbor. In my case, my neighbor, he's a carpenter, and I need a terrace, and it happened so that I asked him to make a terrace, and then knowing what I do with business, he asked me to help with his business, so
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
it's happening. It's in a way people, we are opening up, I believe, and being more, I don't even know, is that vulnerable, maybe more open just to talk about and let other people know where we stand, what we need,
Yeah.
and who knows, we can,
Hmm.
as you say, we can give and take from these interconnections.
Hmm.
That is where the
Yes.
holistic aspect
Yeah.
comes in. And at the same
Yeah.
time, there are so many tech companies right now as Vinted, where with the redefining fashion industry, where I can just give my, literally my t-shirt away for one euro or €5,
Hmm.
or but it's suddenly we are like exchanging goods, and not producing
Hmm.
them. Yes, we are not, the money part is still in there, but
Yeah.
the exchange is happening. So yeah, I oh my God, we have to write about this, a post on LinkedIn. Thank you, Sven, so
I
much for,
I
yeah,
told you we should meet once in Lithuania or wherever where you are, and to get some people
we
together
will.
because I think this is
There
great.
will be.
But if we meet physically, or you come to my garden, I have a lot of space here. You see, here I show you.
Yeah, we
A lot of
should. We
trees
should
around.
definitely.
Look, you
Oh
know,
my God,
a
it's
lot
so
of
beautiful.
nature
I mean,
and
all the.
yeah. So it's
Okay,
so
that's your
wonderful.
house.
We
It
have
is
to. Yes,
wonderful. It is
I,
wonderful.
it is one of my dreams. I wanted to realize. My grandparents came from, or my grandfather came from what is today Poland, somewhere in Breslau, what we call, which is
Hmm. Hmm.
so his father had a lot of countryside, and they had horses and animals, and he was grown up in 1900 in such a house. It is called, I think, a manor house. Yeah. And I was always dreaming about it. And one day of time, I bought half of this house, only half, but I had this big garden, and I saw then all the pictures from my grandfather where he grew up, and it fits to where my grandfather came from, really. And I visited now with all my kids. I invited all my kids on New Year Eve. I visited to Breslau in south of Poland. We went there and we visited the ruins of the building where my grandparents grew up and their parents. And it
Amazing.
was really, this was great. Yeah. And it's
Oh
part
yeah,
of
to
my
feel
dream.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So it's kind of, you brought a piece of like roots, right?
Yes. Yes.
Visually.
Yes.
Yeah. It gives a lot of anchorness and groundness.
Yes.
I
Yes.
still have the last question because I think
Oh,
that you can like
okay.
really give us some pearls of wisdom here, Sven.
Oh
My
no.
son is 11. He's
Yeah.
11.
Mm,
He is dreaming about creating a business that is changing the world. He doesn't
yeah.
yet know what type, he has like million of ideas.
Yeah.
But if you would be coaching and mentoring him
Mm.
in a couple of years, what advice would you give him so he can create both an impact driven but at the same time profitable company?
The advice is, first of all, he has to be, or everybody of us, we really have to follow our mission, our passion, and our heart. And we have to be led by this, and we need to feel it. Yeah. And the second part is then, if you care more for others than for yourself and only concentrate on others, your life will be much better than if you only care for yourself. So just care only for the others in your company. Try to understand what is the need of the people. Try or take most of your time for your people and trust the process. I would call it trust the process. Then things will happen which have to happen. Yeah.
I see.
That's my
Wonderful.
my guidance from today, at least in that moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Sven, so much for being with us today from your wonderful garden. Yeah, and the trees which are flowering this spring. It's just amazing. It can't be
It's a
better.
cherry tree today. Yes.
I see. I see that that's a cherry
Yeah.
tree. Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being with us, and everyone else, enjoy your life. Remember to, yeah, be anchored in nature because nature is everything. We are part of that,
Yeah.
and it's a
I
part of
thank you
us. Thank
also
you.
that I could share that with you, and I'm with you and with all the other peoples, and really let's one day of time connect physically to have the next level of energetic connection, let's say. Yeah.
Amazing.
This
We
is
will do
this
that.
is a short term dream. So we have to do it.
This year.
Yeah.
It will happen this
This year?
year. Yeah, we
Yes?
will all let you
Okay.
know. Yeah, we'll all let you know, guys.
Great.
We will meet all together for
Okay.
this CEO world record. All right, Sven,
Okay,
enjoy
great.
your day. Yeah,
I
see you.
do.
Bye
Thanks a
bye.
lot, Laura. All the best. Bye bye.